It's the Bill Huston Podcast.
Let's talk about the chemicals and the emissions, okay? I survive on donations and grants, friends. So if it is possible, if you are so motivated, I would appreciate donations in any amount to tinyurl.com/donate to, that's T-O, donate to Bill Huston. And Houston is spelled Huston, kind of like the old-time director or the movie star. Not like the city. tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Huston. Donations in any amount are appreciated. And once again, please subscribe to the show, Bill Huston Podcast on YouTube. When these guys first came and talked to our little group, WBESC, Western Broome Environmental Stakeholders Coalition, and that video is online. Okay, so there's two stages to this battery recycling process. The first is what they kept calling roasting, and the roasting...
Because we are roasting and crushing.
Right.
We're roasting and crushing.
And the roasting is where they actually incinerate these materials at high temperature. And the next part is they crush it into this fine, they call it a black powder or battery powder.
At the end of the day, we're taking all those elements and putting them into something called a black powder. We're separating the metallics, the plastics, and all the chemicals, all the compounds become a black powder. That powder contains all the elements.
Then they take that battery powder and they send it to Korea, where they perform a process called solvent extraction.
There's a second stage, which could be done here later on, or goes to our partner company in Korea where they do solvent extraction. And there, in solvent extraction, regardless of the compound, you can set up formulations that extract the compounds and then reprecipitate them as salts or as metal cathodes. And that's the end result.
In solvent extraction is where they actually, because everything is mixed together. There's cobalt and nickel and along with the lithium. And
at the end of the day, we're taking all those elements and putting them into something called a black powder. We're separating the metallics, the plastics, and all the chemicals, all the compounds become a black powder. That powder contains all the elements.
So all these different materials are all mixed together. So they have to figure out these chemical processes they can use to pull the materials back apart again. But the solvent extraction process produces massive amounts of liquid wastes. So if we ever decided to do this whole process in the United States, instead of just the crash and bash side of it, right, and the roasting, the incineration part, imagine if we wanted to do the solvent extraction in the United States. Where do you think we would locate this? Like, we'd have to build some kind of a giant waste treatment facility, right? Or maybe we could find a place that's already got an existing waste treatment facility. Now, where could possibly that be? Let's think about this. Oh, what about right here? Isn't that what this is? This is a waste treatment facility, right? This is where they were bringing in the stink trucks, as my friend Mark Bacon says. This is where they were bringing in the, I think it was 40,000 gallons per day of reverse osmosis. It's 10 times super concentrated leachate. It's ultra super stink juice from Seneca Meadows. It was like 4 to 5 trucks per day. Each one's 8,000 gallons. So probably like 40,000 gallons of reverse osmosis concentrate coming here every day and stinking up the village. And if you ever went to the Price Chopper when this operation was going on, before they did something to make it reduce the odor. But there was a couple of summers there when they were first doing this thing. It was bad. It was really bad, really stinky in downtown Endicott. So this is what, so And when these guys, I wish I could play a video clip. I haven't figured out a good way to play clips in here yet. But these guys were telling us that they want to do solvent extraction in the United States. And I kept saying, do you have any plans on using this facility right here? And they were like, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, it's all, that's the new. I asked them like 3 or 4 times, are you sure you don't want to do solvent extraction and use this facility? And basically what they were saying was, well, that place is shut down. We don't have the adequate flows. Which is true. That's true. That part is true. This facility is shut down. And the reason why it's shut down is because they don't have sufficient flows coming out of the manufacturing that's going on up here at this whole Huron site right now. There's only BAE doing manufacturing there now. So how would they be able to, I ask them over and over again, are you going to use this thing? Are you going to use it? Are you going to use it? They're like, well, it's a separate decision. We're going to figure that out. They would never say, we're thinking about it. They didn't even say we're thinking about it. They completely avoided it. So that makes me a little suspicious. That makes me think like they are. And you can imagine how these guys, and there's a bunch of state workers, there's state officials, there's legislators, Governor Cuomo's top guys, and they're rolling out these blueprints and charts and things, and they've got blueprints of this whole facility, and they're looking at this thing and going, wow, that's a waste treatment plant? Maybe we can put that to use. This project is being designed by a big system. A lot of people, a lot of groups are involved in bringing this thing here. So I think this is the big plan, to bring solvent extraction here, because they were so shifty. And the only way they could do solvent extraction here is if they did a massive operation. Okay? Massive. So that's what the plan is. In my opinion, that's what I think is coming, is solvent extraction. That's their real goal here for not the manufacturing facility. That may or may not actually happen. Who knows? What is a sure thing, unless we can stop it. I mean, the thing that seems to be being green-lighted and fast-tracked is this waste treatment plant. And it's just black powder. It's just an incinerator. Just a kiln. That's what they say. It's just a kiln. Well, that's what it is right now. What's it going to be down the road? So we just have to watch out for this, because if they get the foot in the door, this is what's going to be coming. A massive waste treatment operation. Now, yes, this stuff has to be done somewhere. Does it? Maybe we need to have a conversation of that, because if the net result of having electric cars is that, let's go back for a second. Let's just go back. So let's look at this one thing. I want to show you this one picture. Where is it?
It's the Bill Huston Podcast.
There's 467 acres. This is, there it is. This 467 acres, this is the result. This is the inevitable consequence of having mainframe computers, that downtown Endicott got poisoned. This is the inevitable consequence of having personal PCs, that Endicott got poisoned, got dumped on. So now what are we saying? Now we're saying that the consequence of having electric cars is that Endicott has to get poisoned, their air has to get poisoned, and their water too. Once that solvent plant gets going, they're gonna be getting a new Speedies permit and dumping that stuff into the Susquehanna River right on top of the village of Endicott's drinking water well. So we have to be careful. If they get a foot in the door, they could be bringing in just more contamination for Endicott. And I think we've had enough contamination in Endicott. Now, here's a couple of features I want to point out to you. So one is so here's the Price Chopper, okay? This is a shopping center. And the Price Chopper is just a few hundred feet away. That's maybe 800 feet away, I'm guessing. Less than 1,000 feet. And then here's a CVS right here. And then here's a little strip mall. This has got the smart wash, and it's got there's a cell phone place at the end where Radio Shack used to be. There's a liquor store here. There's a China Garden restaurant. So kids play here. Kids play at these ball fields. And so this is kind of a picture of what the emissions might look like, rising up out of the stacks. And then all kinds of chemical vapors raining down, God knows what. It's like, welcome to Endicott. And well, we do know because they put it in, and they put it in their the likely to emit or possible to emit chemical contaminants. We got formaldehyde, that's a carcinogen. We've got microparticles. This is actually an emergent research in the medical community right now. How these microparticles actually they bypass the normal blood cellular. I forget what it's called exactly, but these microparticles can actually lodge between cells. They can they permeate right through vascular walls and cellular walls, and they're being indicated as neurotoxins. So we're going to have heavy metals in the air, dioxins, some of the most toxic chemicals known to man, these dioxins, unspecified hydrocarbons. Guess what? Benzene's a hydrocarbon. They're saying there's going to be no benzene, but benzene's a hydrocarbon. Sulfuric acid, it's not cancer causing, but it's not good to breathe either. Guess what? It destroys lung tissue. By the way, I think I made a math error. I don't think it was actually 12 pounds per day. I think it's only like 2 pounds per day. Is 2 pounds per day of sulfuric acid being dumped into the air in downtown Endicott really better than 12? Maybe it is. Is it going to cause injury? Is it not going to cause injury? I don't know. We need to look at this. There's going to be lead dumped into the air. Hexavalent chromium. Guess what? Hexavalent chromium is a carcinogen. That's how Aaron Brockovich got started, was fighting hexavalent chromium contamination in her town. There's going to be fluoride compounds, nitrous oxides, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, tons and tons and tons of that stuff. So if we look at the EPA in terms of what is a major source, it talks about, because if this thing is a major source, I just want to show you this one rabbit hole I went down in researching this thing. If it is a major source, there's a more difficult permit, more paperwork they got to go through. It's called a Title V permit. And so, is this a Title V? Does this site deserve a Title V permit? Maybe. So I was looking into that. So it's going to be 10 tons per year of hazardous air pollutants. Now it's in lowercase there. What you see is in lowercase, but hazardous air pollutant. But really, that should be in uppercase, because hazardous air pollutant has a very special definition for the EPA. And that is this big list, 187 different chemicals on there. Now, here's something interesting, okay? How many known chemicals would you say there are? And most of the chemicals, by the way, are man-made. How many? You think there's 1,000? Is it 2,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? It turns out it's more like 50 million. There are 50 million known chemicals, and we have good toxicity studies on about 2,000. So most chemicals, we have no idea do they cause cancer? What kind of, how are they endocrine disruptors? Are they, mutagen? Are they mutagenetic? We don't know because they haven't had good toxicity studies. And I'm not even saying we should get toxicity studies on those things because toxicity studies usually involve this thing called the LD50, which kills a whole bunch of animals, populations of animals. Sometimes they use rabbits, sometimes they use monkeys, dogs, rats, all kinds of different things, cats. So in order to learn the toxicity of these chemicals, they sacrifice lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of animals. They torture animals. It's really horrific. So this whole science of toxicity it's a black art, and it's got tainted information that's tainted by immorality or amorality because it involves animal torture and abuse. And once again, the number of chemicals that are of concern to EPA in terms of hazardous air pollutants is 187. So look at these numbers here. So we got from 50 million down to 187. Do you think we're getting accurate information or complete information? Has the science ever been wrong? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it has. So once again, if we go back and look, and what did it say? It said that major source is 10 tons per year of any hazardous air pollutant identified by the EPA. So it's 10 tons times, what's 10 times 2,000 pounds? That's 20,000 pounds. So let's look down this chart and let's see, are there any that are near 20,000 pounds? Oh yes, there is. There is one. It's nitrogen oxide is 18,000 pounds, huh? So that 18,000 pounds is really close to the thresholds for a major source air permit for NOx. And NOx is definitely something that EPA is tracking because you hear them as you read these air permits. You read about NOx all the time. And what I've noticed is that if the limit is 20,000 something, 20,000 pounds in this case, what you'll find is a whole lot of permits come in at 18,000 or 19,000. It's just a little tiny bit, just a hair smaller than the limit. And isn't that interesting? You know, not supposed to say that these people are crooked or corrupt or faking it or whatever, but let me give you an example, okay? Down in Pennsylvania, in Susquehanna County, there's this compressor station called the Williams Central Station. And the thresholds for CO2 or CO2 equivalent is 100,000 pounds. So if we look at what they said their emissions were, it was 98,801. It's not 100,000 pounds. It's just a little bit shy of it. So we see this again and again. So something, so when I saw 18,000 pounds of nitrogen oxide, I'm like, woot, woot, woot. Let's stop and take a look at this. But if you look over here at the HTAC threshold, it says not applicable, and under HAP it says no. Turns out that NOx, nitrous oxide, or nitrous oxides, there's several different flavors of it. It's regulated by the EPA, but it's not considered a hazardous air pollutant. So maybe this guy, can figure that out. I can't. That's hard for me to figure out. It just seems kind of weird to me. So once again, friends, you have to take action. I have to take action. If we want to defeat this incinerator, give Joseph M. Dlugolenski a call at 607-753-3095. Make his phone ring off the hook. Tell him you're from Endicott, or you visit Endicott, or you have family in Endicott, that you do shopping in Endicott. Tell people tell this DC guy that you don't want Endicott contaminated any more than it's already suffered. You can email him at dep.r7@dec.ny.gov. Here's a list of things that we're looking for. Public hearing, a Type 1 seeker with a full environmental impact statement. We want to be treated as an environmental justice community because demographically we fit the criteria. And there's a couple other things they can do to, like raise the stack height that can maybe make this thing minimize the impacts on Endicott, and do a baseline air test and prove to us that this facility is not going to poison us further. There's going to be a lot more information up here on the Bill Huston podcast blog. How do I do that? There we go. So the podcast blog, just Google Bill Huston podcast and you should find the blog. There's going to be lots of supplementary information there for you. Please like this video, share it on Twitter and Facebook and social media on your email lists. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you can, and you're so motivated, please donate if you can in any amount. I have $500 of unmet bills this month, so I'm very close to losing some possessions that I have in storage. I've lost things. I've lost everything so many times in my life. So, it's just stuff. But my phone's due. My P.O. box is due. I moved this month, so I had a lot of extra expenses that I had to... Anyway, there's a famous YouTuber, Jason Burmis, up there in Oneonta, and he's very famous, and he was the author or the producer of one of the first viral videos that was called 9/11 Loose Change. So he's a famous guy, but he raises $5,000 every month. I'm just looking to raise $500. I live very modestly. Your donations will go to direct environmental work and direct frontline work. I do ongoing research on Type 4 CNG bulk haul virtual pipeline tube trailers, aka CNG bomb trucks. I'm also starting to look at LNG by rail, LNG by truck. That's a new thing that's happening. I just do nonstop research, nonstop work. And I work in the public interest, and I need you to keep doing this work, friends. So if you can, if you're so motivated and you have some spare cash, a $50 donation, even 20, 10 or 5, whatever you got, I'm very, very grateful. And I'm going to try to do some donor benefits coming up to give you some special thank yous. So if you can, there it is, tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Huston. And only through work by you and me can we stop the battery incinerator, the Endicott battery incinerator.
So I put cornflakes, 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 cornflakes. Pathetic.